welcome to the two-man wall with Johnny Ward and Adam Russell. Now, Adam, I have been bemoaning the fact that we're talking about VAR week in, week out. Nobody considers what this is doing for referees. It's making it the most boring job ever. But what about Darren Drysdale? We need more of this. And if you haven't seen this, how have you not seen it?
What a place to start that is, Johnny. I mean, like you say, VAR has made life very difficult for referees who, even before VAR, you remember the players crowding referees and the abuse that referees get from fans and pundits. So to see Darren Drysdale, who's obviously been in the headlines this morning, he appeared during last night's game, Ipswich against Northampton. He appears to square up to Alan Judge and he sort of leans his head in, but it's pretty clear from his expressions he's just not going to take it, is it? Mate, all I can say is good on him. Yeah. Good on him. Perhaps if a few more referees were kind of less inclined to put up with the abuse that they get from players,
absolutely,
we wouldn't have these ridiculous scenes that we get week after week. In any other walk of life, if you're not on a football pitch, if another man comes running at you and he's swearing, he's effing and he's blinding and he's he's angry, you're prepared to defend yourself, don't you? It's like a human instinct to like be prepared to, if necessary, like physically defend yourself. Like, he's not put his hands on him. He stood his ground and he made it clear that he's not going to take it. Like, ideally, the whole situation would have been avoided altogether because it obviously isn't a great look for anyone. But we can't allow players to confront referees aggressively without punishment week after week after week at every level of the game and then throw a ref who refuses to take it to the dogs. It's just, we can't do. The players are asking for this. And I hope, like you say, you remember Pierluigi Collina from back in the day?
How could you forget?
Exactly. Everyone said he was the best ref in the world. And he used to do stuff like this all the time. Just he said, I'm not taking it.
What about his eyes? He just like his eyes, that look would just go right through you in a second.
Do you remember a few seasons ago when Diego Costa tried squaring up to Jordan Henderson and Henderson gave him those exact eyes? It was just pure anger and aggression in the eyes. And Costa was just like, I don't want any of this. And it was exactly the same from Judge last night. You can see he's like, whoa, where did that come from? Like,
I'll tell you one thing we do want is your 32 winner. Salah and Barnes to score any time. Now, interesting game. Liverpool, more or less, their title hopes are gone. This was another shoddy second half performance, but 32 was landed. Both teams to score you were confident of 4-7. Leicester ended up winning comprehensively. Liverpool have had a bit of a rally in the Champions League sense, but the league is over and they actually have a bit of a battle for the top four now, Adam.
Yeah, especially, again, the game against Everton at the weekend is going to be a big one in that top four race and how that'll pan out. Liverpool, obviously, unbeaten in their last 23 meetings against Everton in all competitions. And perhaps if you're an Everton fan, there's never been a better time to play Liverpool, given that they've obviously lost 3 in a row in the Premier League. They haven't lost 4 in a row in the Premier League since December 2002 under Gerard Houllier. So perhaps if you're an Everton fan, maybe this is the year that they can finally go to Anfield and get a result. Although I feel like we said that this time last year as well, and it didn't quite go to plan.
I don't know though, Adam. I just, in terms of, like, I was looking at the Liverpool game last night against Leipzig or whatever, and you're looking at the odds beforehand. Leipzig were missing strikers, and that's probably why they were the price they were. But Liverpool defensively are still so shaky. I mean, Jordan Henderson is just a bit of a fish out of water, and Alisson's kind of distribution still very, very suspect. As much as they basically won the game because of 2 horrendous mistakes and didn't play badly, but Everton shouldn't be fearing Liverpool at all at the moment. 11-2 with Star Sports.
Yeah, I do wonder whether Klopp might look to put Henderson back into midfield this weekend. I think what they've gained by putting him at centre half, they've lost significantly more by taking him out of the midfield. I think as big a loss as Van Dijk and Gomez obviously are, I think the bigger loss has arguably been Fabinho and Henderson from that midfield. They just don't have the same tempo and the same dynamism that they had last season. They don't win the ball as high up as they did. They don't press as hard as they did. And Henderson and Fabinho are obviously a huge part of that system. So I do wonder whether they'll look to try and get him back into midfield as soon as they can. And yeah, maybe look for a slightly younger partnership and less experienced partnership at the back, but just to give them more chance of defending higher up the pitch and put those centre halves under a bit less pressure. Like you say, Everton shouldn't be afraid to go there. They haven't won in any of the last 20 visits to Anfield in the Premier League. The last one there, September 1999. So there's obviously a big kind of omen there for them. It's something that they need to shake sooner or later. So maybe this is the one. But I've picked out a nice stat for you. Liverpool versus Everton is the most drawn game in Premier League history. They've drawn on 24 separate occasions. So 7-2 on the draw, I think, is a fairly good price. I think it could be a tense game. We've seen in the past that these games can sometimes be a bit of a disappointment, particularly the ones at Anfield. And they haven't quite been as competitive as maybe they could have been. So do you think 7-2 on the draw there is an interesting price? And like you say, given the success of the Barnes Salah anytime goal scorer pick last week, I've picked out another one. Salah again and Sigurdsson score anytime, that's 17-2. You'd obviously think that if there are going to be any penalties, that Salah and Sigurdsson respectively might take them for either team. So I think 17-2 for them both to score anytime is a good price. And if I had to pick a winner, say Liverpool will win, I'm going to go under 2.5 goals in the game, and that's 3-1. Like I said, I think it could be a tense game. So yeah, under 2.5 goals, Liverpool to win, maybe 1 or 2-0, something like that.
And of course, Salah just gets all these chances pretty much every game, and he's scoring and scoring and scoring. But Gundogan is kind of creeping up behind him. And again, has just been absolutely immense in recent games with his goal scoring record since the turn of the year.
Is there a better player in the Premier League right now than Gundogan?
I love watching him play. And a lot of the stuff he does is it's not outwardly outrageous. It's just simple football, making the use of space and making the right pass. But it's the way he's putting himself into pockets of space, I think, that is just brilliant to watch. And like after missing the penalty against Liverpool, the way he kind of brushed that off and just scored twice in the second. I love watching him play, and it's amazing what Man City have done. Not so much without Aguero, but without De Bruyne, they don't really look. They almost look no worse at all because Gundogan has just got in there, and they're so compact as well. And I have to say, I've completely underestimated. I thought this season they were going to kind of fall off a bit. The run they've gone on, and having watched them recent weeks, I love watching them play. They're the way they pass the ball, but there is a solidity to them as well. Like it's they're not giving away goals, and they kind of, as much as they pass the ball in dangerous areas, they don't really look like they're going to concede if they cop up the ball. They're just great to watch, and he's so key to everything.
I think, like you say, with De Bruyne, I actually think they look a better side without him at the minute. That's not to say that he doesn't walk straight back into the 11 once he's fit again. But we spoke about it earlier in the season. There was kind of becoming a bit of an over-reliance on De Bruyne to create something and feed that magic pass. And kind of everything was going through him. Whereas now with Gundogan and Foden and Rodri also playing in that midfield, and they've asked Cancelo to step in when they have possession. He steps inside into almost like a right sort of holding midfielder role. It's not quite where you'd expect your fullback to be, but it creates all that space down the right-hand side for the likes of Foden to drift out there and drag defenders with him, which has obviously left Gundogan kind of in that false 9, number 10 position, making those runs beyond the last defender. It's made his job a lot easier, and it gives him a lot more space. But in Germany at the minute, they're absolutely raving about Gundogan. They're talking about him being one of the best players in the world at the minute, which he's just, like you say, he's just a beautifully simplistic footballer, isn't he? Doesn't overcomplicate things. There's no flicks, there's no tricks. It's just does the basics and does his job very, very well. I think, like you say, January's player of the month, and he's been very, very impressive. 7-4 to score any time against Arsenal at the weekend. Obviously, he scored against Liverpool and Spurs, so we know he does it in big games. Probably won't be on the penalties this time, as you say, given the last one. But
I backed them -1 against. I backed them against Liverpool, and I backed them -1 against Spurs. So when they changed, I'm not a big fan of changing penalty takers. So they changed the penalty taker. I don't know what to expect, but granted, Harry Kane hit the crossbar, but the goalkeeping class was something else. This will be very interesting for Arsenal because their form has been good. Good result against Man United, a game they could have won. This is another level, though, and obviously Arteta and Pep will be built up beforehand.
Funny you mentioned the penalties as well. I was just looking through the market for the game at the weekend, and there's no anytime goal scorer price on Edison, as I believe
Oh,
that
yeah,
he's next off the block in the penalty stakes. By the looks of it, he was ready to take the one at the weekend. I
I
think,
saw that. Yeah.
yeah, I think Gundogan told him no, and Rodri's penalty wasn't the most convincing. I think Pep said after the game that he's not laughing and that it's something that they need to sort out. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if at some point this season we see Edison take a penalty.
He will if they've run away with the league and they've gotten a game where they're 2 or 3 up or something. You like City to win, both teams not to score, and Gundogan any time. I like the look of that bet because City they're not conceding goals at the moment.
It's the way they keep possession when they're winning games that makes it so difficult for teams to actually to get back into the game.
I think it's mentally demoralizing as well. Like, so once Spurs went 1-0 down, it was like basically just throw the towel in here. I want to go home.
Yeah, exactly. I think that might be a case. Spurs are obviously very low on confidence, whereas maybe Arsenal are in a slightly better place than Spurs at the minute. Again, I can't see Arsenal scoring in this one. City have just been so good defensively that it's almost you can't see them losing at the minute. You can't even really see them conceding. So I think 11-2 for City to win, both teams not to score and Gundogan to score again any time. I think seems a solid bet at the minute given how good the form that they and he are both in. Arsenal have lost the last 7 Premier League games against Man City. They obviously beat them in the FA Cup final last season. But the Premier League record against them is not great. Man City are obviously playing tonight against Everton as well, so they could come into this one on the back of 10 wins in a row in the top flight, be the first team to ever do that at the start of a calendar year. So it's hard to look past them at the minute, and it's hard to look past them for the title as well.
The title has completely gone by, but one I'm interested in as well, before we get to Kylian Mbappe as a beautiful ending to the show, West Ham United 6-4 at home to Spurs. West Ham, you might say they've punched above their weight. I actually think they're a good side, and I fancy them to beat Spurs. Don't rate Spurs at all at the moment. And West Ham quite justifiably pushing for top 4 at the moment. It probably won't happen, but they're banging the mix. They've overtaken. They have overtaken Liverpool. Have they in the table? Yeah. If they haven't, they're very close. Liverpool do face 5. Liverpool are because West Ham obviously winning comfortably the night against Sheffield United, but Liverpool are still 2-5 with starsports to be top 4. Even though some would kind of say that they are up against it, they still obviously have a lot of quality. But the Everton game is going to be huge. I didn't see Mbappe. I haven't seen much of Mbappe actually, which is one of the shameful admissions of my life really, because anytime I've seen him play, I'm wowed by him. And obviously no Neymar, but Barcelona, who are over $1 billion in debt, just absolutely battered by PSG and the boy Mbappe.
Yeah, it felt like a changing of the guard last night in terms of the world's best players. Messi was very disappointing, and Mbappe was just on a different level. He stole the show. He's powerful, quick, dynamic, technically superb, and he's absolutely ruthless, which is just everything that Ronald Koeman's Barcelona side are not, and they weren't last night. He's been involved in 40 goal involvements in 41 Champions League games, and he's still only 22 years old. It's just amazing. They're so ruthless last night. Just you couldn't live with him on the counter. And Neymar played superb. Draxler obviously did well in the second half. And you got to look at his Mbappe 5-2 favourite for the most goals and assists in the knockout stages at the minute. He's favourite at the top of that market, so definitely worth a shout there. He's 5-1 to be top goal scorer in the competition. He's 3rd favourite in that market. So if you think PSG are going to go far, they're 5-1 in the outright to make the 2nd Champions League final in a row. They are 11-5. So some really interesting PSG markets there. I think it's going to be great, that second leg, isn't it? Can you imagine? Obviously, you remember, I think was it 2017 or 2018, the famous
best comeback of all time.
6-1 comeback.
That ain't going to happen.
You know, I think it's hard, that one. I think it's never write off Messi.
Stop, Adam. You're 24 years old. You're betraying your tender years here. You're talking nonsense.
This is the Champions League we're talking about, though, Johnny. Anything can happen.
Often involving Barcelona.
Yeah, I know. If it wasn't, I guess Barcelona's Champions League record recent years doesn't really sell. But I think, there'll be something in the back of those PSG players' mind. They'll remember. A good few of them will remember that night. They'll remember the way they felt afterwards. And
not going to happen again.
Oh well, I wouldn't be betting it, but
I'll tell you what, right, before we go, I know you know the lads in Star very well, the big players, Ben Keith, Luke, Jordan, Flynn, all the top-notch gurus. Tell them that we want League of Ireland betting this year for the first time in Star Sports. I'll help them out, pull up a market, maybe even a special on Shamrock Rovers, which will be around about even money. Tell Ben if he's taken on England to win the Six Nations, as he probably justifiably did, took on Donald Trump, maybe will he take on Shamrock Rovers, get some new accounts open?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to side with you on this one, Johnny, to be fair. There's been a few novelty markets. I think if we can price up how quickly Bitcoin's going to get to $50,000, then we can do a few markets.
Are you watching Ben Keith?
Are you watching Ben Keith? That's what we need. League of Ireland. We'll even pull out a few specials, won't we, on the show, Johnny, to help raise a bit of publicity. So,
and it's not. I'll get you to watch 2 games this year. It's not a bad league at all. Thank you very much, Adam.
It's at least the second best league in Ireland, in my opinion.
You're a disgraceful character. Thank you. Have a good week.
Thanks, mate. Yourself.
And our Beat the Trader Challenge is running now every week on Star Sports, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games this weekend. If you predict the score for the following games: Burnley, West Brom, Liverpool, Everton, Fulham, Sheffield United, West Ham, Spurs, Aston Villa, Leicester, and Arsenal v Man City, you could win a £200 free bet. And remember to follow Adam's selections. He's on fire at the moment with some big price winners, and we'll talk to you next week.